Ladies and gentlemen, we are now live on Sportswire Radio. We are on sportnarium.com/player. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of those other platforms, but we are especially live on YouTube and Twitter, and with big reasons here because our guest, no stranger to Sportswire Radio, of course, one of the greatest, I think, to ever have done it in the backyard, a legend that his following is almost unmatched out there with nearly 80,000 followers total on his Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And he's going to talk about some things that have happened if you've been following his pages at Taff_Taylor and Taff Taylor that have happened within the last 24 to 48 hours. He's also going to talk about some other social media posts he's had, that sidewalk slam that everybody's talking about, that Stone Cold Roman Reigns video, my personal favorite. He needs no further introduction, but because he's also the host of the Nemesis Sessions, which had a huge show even last night doing the Bray Wyatt tribute show, you know he's got to get that introduction that he's accustomed to, and he damn straight well deserves because he is one of the latest stars of the ever-burgeoning New South Pro roster. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one, global sports show. He is the host of the Nemesis Sessions. He is the latest star of New South Pro Wrestling. They call him Taff Taylor on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. He is otherwise known as the Nemesis, James Taylor. My friend, how are you?
I'm good, man. I am good. How about you?
Ask me in about 2 hours or so after I do this interview, after the last 2-minute intro I just gave here. So ask me then, but it's not about me. It's about you, the legendary James Taylor, because as always, you find your way to be a topic in the professional wrestling, backyard, underground, YouTube wrestling world, promo wrestling, whatever it is at this point, because you made some news, some revelations that a lot of people, I think, were taken back from about maybe 48 or so hours ago. So from our audience that's now joined us and watching and listening on all Sportswire radio platforms, the Nemesis James Taylor, talk about what has happened between you and Tennessee Backyard Wrestling.
I mean, long story short, I'm no longer with the company. My last match was with the Prophet Jay Wild at Anniversary 6. Great match, by the way. If you haven't watched it, go check it. Stole the show. Better than
as you always do. You always find a way to do that.
And it's not trying to be braggadocious. It's not trying to boast. It's literally just straight facts. Prophet is one of the safest guys I've ever worked in the ring with, and my hat's off to him. Not saying that it's never going to be over between me and him, but I got a lot of respect for him, especially in TBW. Before we get into any of this, I just want the whole world to know that I'm not bashing TBW. I don't want anybody here not support TBW. It's just the fact that James Taylor has got bigger fish to fry and better things to move on and go towards. So by all means, continue to support them. It is where I did a lot of my stuff for the Backyard Career as far as the past few years. So continue to support them, watch them, all that great stuff. But I will talk about my feelings. I will talk about what happened a little bit, not a whole bunch, not to go into super duper detail, but I'm just going to get into it. Look, so everybody knows I've basically am signing and going to be officially signing with New South Pro. Well, I have signed with New South. What am I talking about? And I'm looking to start training within the next week or two. Good. I am going to be training on my weekends that I would go and do filming for TBW. The unfortunate thing is the longer I had this offer sitting in front of me on the table, I had to put it off because of what I wanted to do with TBW. It was not TBW's fault. It was the fact that I just have the passion. And I guess when you turn the James Taylor mode off, you get nothing but literally a real nice guy, because I am a nice guy. Anybody that
Yes,
really
you were a
knows me,
great man, by the way. I will tell you, you were a very, very nice man. A true class act, I would say. And that's why I consider you one of the all-time greats.
and I appreciate that. I respect that, and thank you. But yeah, anybody that gets to know me off camera when I'm not in character mode, literally, I'll give my shirt off to anybody I can if they need it, But if you rub me the wrong way, you piss me off, and you bring up personal things, then you're on my shit list. Let's just say that you're on my shit list. So what I'm getting at is the fact that, again, it's not bragging. It's not boasting. You said it. You know it. A lot of guys know it. I've got almost 80,000 followers.
You bring
all
ratings.
forms of
Listen,
social media.
let's cut to the chase. James Taylor, when you mention James Taylor's name, I don't care if you're in the backyard, underground wrestling, pro wrestling, promo wrestling, Mickey Mouse, it doesn't matter. Because when your name comes up, automatically eyeballs flock to it. When your name is brought up, automatically people start talking. Social media engagements go up. Subscriber counts go up. When your name is mentioned, there's no other name that I have heard, at least that was a part of the backyard, underground YouTube scene, that generates the amount of attention that you get. With all due respect to a lot of the other guests that come on Sportswire. In fact, I'll even go further than Nemesis James Taylor, and I've been doing this for 5 years. I think that you even generate more engagements, more viewers, more talk than pro wrestlers I've had on here. I'll go right to it. So that's, to me, any company that has you, you are going to bring them added attention. So if TBW, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out, to me, it's their loss, because you're going to go to New South, and New South, to me, is going to get a whole new audience, and they're going to get a lot more people talking about them than they were prior.
Maybe. When you have that following and you try and do what you can, I've busted my ass to get where I'm at today, and I can only keep going up, and that's exactly my goal, and that's what anybody should be, is to go up as high as they can. You work your ass off to get where you're at, right? And I've done that over the past 20-something years. As far as YouTube, I've done that over the past 10 years. When you have that following, I'm not the one that's like, oh, I'm better than everybody. I like to do, hey, if I've got this and I know people, I want to use what I've got to help others get to that level and climb that ladder with me. I want everybody to be successful. That's a fan of me, that works with me, that wants to work with me. I want everybody to be successful. And when you try and do that for a company, you would expect, especially when you put in the work, that they would respect you enough to say, you know what, you've done this for us, you've given to us, we want to give to you. And then when it comes down to it, this company basically, like I said, not bashing, but basically they said, long story short, that I might have an opportunity to be at the top. Despite all the views I've brought them, despite all the subscribers I've helped build for them, despite the best matches that I've put on, because I've stolen the show over the main event, and guys that I've helped put over. Let me go ahead and just break it down. Again, no bashing, but I did want to say this if this happened, and I'm going to say this right here on Sportswire Radio. Hashtag Sportswire Wrestling. When it comes to the backyard industry, the backyard world, back in the day when I first started, it was just little companies here and there and guys having fun going out there doing, because they can't afford a wrestling school, but they're going to go out there and do what they have in their hearts and their passion, and that's to live out their dream vicariously through a character that they as a mark, like I like
Sure.
Stone Cold, I like Triple H. I came out to Stone Cold's
Well,
music.
listen, the
I came out
company
to
you
Triple
work
H
for, a
music.
lot of people would say that they're basically a company that, basically knocks off their certain wrestlers, and they're almost like, again, no disrespect to Daniel Banner, almost like the cosplay federation. I mean, somebody that's come on here many times almost sounds like he's doing his best Jim Ross impersonation. I mean, we have on another guest that's come on here in the past from TBW who's basically doing the Cody Rhodes. Their champion in that federation is basically doing his impersonation of Heath Ledger's Joker and Roman Reigns. We can go down the line. I mean, we have a guy that's living like he's in the 1980s Ric Flair. I mean, listen, I love TBW, but that federation, is obviously almost a cosplay federation. There are some companies out there that are originals. I see you, honestly, and I'll let you finish, but to me, I think if you're going to really grow and be taken seriously, you're going to have to move on eventually. You're going to work with the pro wrestling company, because look, I have on a lot of pros on, and I love all wrestling. I consider myself the voice of all wrestling, but if you're going to want to advance, you can't be in a cosplay federation. That's all.
I know. And out of respect to them, I did my part because I enjoyed a lot of those guys.
Oh, I love their I love what they do, but it's a cosplay federation. It's cosplay.
And I know, and all the hate that they do get, they do got a following, but they at the same time, they get a lot of hate from a lot of other feds and a lot of other guys. It's not jealousy, it's because of the way that they are about things. And that's the other part.
Listen, people look at people look at it and say it's almost like when you have a band, right? And the band is going out there and is trying to get a record deal, right? And they have original music, right? That's obviously a working band. But then you have a band, almost like there was a band called Steel Panther that was basically almost like an imitation of bands of yesteryear. Now, Sean Jovi comes out to some of that music, so certainly we love Sean Jovi here. This is not about him, but the point is that company that you may have worked for is almost like Steel Panther. Yes, there's certainly talents there, but it's an imitation of what was successful. It's not their own path, which again, they can do whatever they want, but there are many that look at them and may feel that way. That's not my opinion. That's what a lot of people say around the block.
And that's in a way not what you're saying, but what the backyard wrestling community does when they poke fun at the company I was a part of. That's what it's not what they're doing that hurts me. It's what the company I'm defending does that hurts me, because they've seen, not only have I brought views, not only have I brought subscribers, not only have I brought on the best that I could be and best matches that I could do, I have defended them. I have done everything. I've been over backwards for these guys.
But listen, people have knocked them also with their work with another company out there that they just did a crossover show. There's a lot of stuff out there that people have said about that company. Now obviously, that's people's opinions. I don't know what's fact, what's not fact, but there's people that have knocked that, and all of a sudden, people look at it in these other, feds and say, hey, well, I've reached out to the company that you worked for and they didn't want to play ball. And they also, some would say, have also deserved some of that criticism. But, that's also a point that people feel that the company that they just did a crossover show with, which you were a part of one of those shows not that long ago with, there's some stuff out there that a recent guest on Sportswire Radio, who was another controversial figure, has said as well. So that's out there also.
I know. And what hurts me is that company that I defended, because of things like that and accusations like that, tell me that I'm not good enough. And I'm
thinking, what you're like to me. You're like the Big Cheese Logan, right? The Big Cheese Logan was a champion in another. He's my guest Wednesday, by the way, 3:00 Eastern time, and he was a champion in a promotion. And the promoter basically was in the UK is seen as basically they use the word carny. They call him a carny basically. And the Big Cheese had put this company on the map. He had sold, I don't know, 40, 50 tickets for that company show. They put him in a match with a guy that honestly, Craven Rage probably has more in-ring skills with. And he's a pro wrestler, right? Okay. And then he's one of their champions. And then they basically want him to lose to somebody else who's been alleged, by the way, that's alleged that he has done some things inappropriately for in another company that he had worked for. So there's a lot of this that goes around out there. So I see some of those similarities with what happened with the Big Cheese and what happened with you. But the moral of the story is the Big Cheese is doing some of the biggest work, I think, that he's doing now away from that company. And that company that you had worked for, where you're going to be going, I think you're going to do some of your most important and your best work yet.
And I will. I don't want to be second fiddle to nobody. I know that I'm going to have to work my ass off going into a company like New South, and I respect the shit out of these guys. These guys work their ass off, and I'm not going to go in there and act like I know everything. I'm going to go in there and listen, because that's what a smart guy does. You go in there and you listen. You'll go in there with a big head and think that you're everything, because everything I've done in the backyard, my skill set will come with me. Not my move set, it's my skill set, and I am bringing that stunner. Don't you worry about that. But I'm going to go in there with a positive attitude. I'm going to listen to what they have to say. I'm going to show them what I could do. I'm going to do what I'm asked at first, and I'm going to be very humble. And then when they see what I'm all about and what I could do, you just wait. You'll see what happens. But what makes me happy about that is that I'm going to go to an indie company where now I've got more eyes on the product, even though they only have so many subscribers. But the big companies, the big industries like the National Wrestling Alliance, Ring of Honor, AEW.
NWA's got a show on right now. Listen, Ring of Honor, we saw with the huge historic AEW show. I mean, that's where it's about. I mean, listen, I love what a lot of the backyard companies do. I love the spirit, but you're talking to a guy that just had on Vito Fratelli, who wrestled Alexander Hammerstone up and down the West Coast, number 24 in the PWI 500, the MLW champion, beat TJP, who was a champion in WWE. If you're going to go, and whatever time you have left in wrestling, you got to move on. That would be my advice. You can do what you want, but that would be my advice.
So I want to leave it on this, and then we'll talk about this.
And I got tons of comments, by the way, tons.
That's fine. We'll go with them. The backyard world. This is the part I was regretting to do, and I wanted to give TBW the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, I'm not bashing these guys. I want everybody to continue to support them if you're fans of them. But I'm no longer going to be with the company because it is what it is. But in the backyard wrestling world, and I hate that I'm going to say this, but it's the facts, because of what has happened, and because I was hoping that I was wrong, and I know 100% factual that I am not. Spoiler alert. In backyard wrestling today, only the people who run the companies pick favorites. They have favoritism. They want who they want as champion, not what the fans want, not who really goes in there, has the skills, bust their ass, and do what they're supposed to do. Their top guy is only going to be the guys that run their own company.
Well, you know what that's called?
Straight
you know what they call that's called politics. That's called, and that's just coming from somebody that has worked in the political world. So I understand more than anybody about the politics, because I've worked it and represented either candidates or in a handful of cases, politicians. And I can tell you, I know exactly what goes on from that standpoint. I've lived in that world for a large part of my adult life. But the moral of the story is that a rising tide always lifts all boats, and your tide is going to be lifted. We wish nothing but the best from TBW. We wish them well, but I'm excited about the future of the Nemesis James Taylor, and that's why I want people to follow him on Instagram and TikTok at @Taff_Taylor. YouTube at Taft Taylor. And I like to get to people's comments because a lot of people are fired up. I want to say hello to Creepy Leech. Let's get ready to rumble. Yes, I should have did that probably in the intro. I probably should have did that. Hello to Wednesday's guest, the Big Cheese Logan, who, by the way, was there at Wembley Stadium. He had 10 beers as it ain't easy. Hello, fellas. And what is he doing up? He's usually in bed by now, getting ready for the gym, but he's here now. I say hello to him. Daniel Banner would say, Mr. Taylor, my fellow nerd, and Tom, my favorite podcaster. I appreciate that. Moon Bunny would say, when you're good at something, don't do it for free. Never sell yourself short for hard work. And Daniel Bannon would like to say that was a Dark Knight Joker quote. CJ Black would like to say, the nursing home might be starting a Fed, my brother. Well, I mean, New South Pro Wrestling may beg to differ on that, so we'll certainly move on from that. Cosplay is becoming big in wrestling because some wrestlers are nerds. Yes, I got that, and I got that you're the cosplay kid. But my point was that, again, some would say that TBW is a cosplay of current wrestling companies, current storylines, and characters. So they might be an original, to some degree, backyard, underground, or YouTube wrestling company, but it's mostly a cosplay company. Now, that's fine. They have a lot of followers. They have a lot of subscribers. They're entitled to do whatever they want. But when you watch their product, it's a cosplay company. Just like, look, there are other companies that come on Sportswire without naming names. They have an entertainment in their last name. They're a company that has some cosplay in it, and that's fine. I'm not trying to knock it. I mean, that's just the facts. Peter Richards gives the emojis with the fire. We say hello. Say hello to our friends, of course, in the IMF, who I know Soldier and Omen were a part of TBK's Bray Wyatt Tribute podcast. I'll be checking it out later on Spotify. Just got done with LMFP yesterday and done with IMF summer meetings today, and a lot of shockers. Hello, James. How's it going? Well, the news here to recap is that James Taylor, the Nemesis, is no longer a part of TBW. He's agreed to part ways with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, and he is focusing on, of course, all things related to the Nemesis sessions, and most importantly, New South Pro Wrestling, one of our favorite wrestling companies around, where the Nemesis is going to go on and continue his legendary career. Want to say hello to Ace Reed from the Wired Up podcast, who unfortunately has decided that his Front Yard Mania show is not going on at the moment. He's got some matches out there. We'll see what he does with that in the future. A lot of things happen for different reasons. Dang, James Taylor on 2 podcasts in 2 days, more than most in TBW. Well, you know what? I mean, and to be fair, I love some of the talent in TBW. We had a few of them come on. But, they're an insular company. Listen, and the facts are, they do things the way they want to do it. And God bless them. Listen, I work with pros, and there are certain companies that, there was a company in England. The guy was the champion, knew who I was considered to be in that small town, the John Cena of his town, did not want to come on. So, it happens. I mean, look, and, God bless everybody. They're entitled to do what they want, but that's how they are. I just really can't understand why people are so fake these days. Because people are just into their own world. They're all in their own BS and drama. That's the facts. Mm-hmm. Or get upset over the success of others. Seems like that's in everything. Media and all and everything else. Yeah, I mean, just people are very political. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Mr. Painmaker would like to say people are going to have critics and everything. It's understandable. Yeah, it's understandable, but obviously, it is what it is, depending on where you fall in the side of the coin of, the company that Mr. Taylor had previously worked for. I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, Taft is the only guy in the promo world who went out of his way to meet face-to-face with me, not once but twice. Well, that shows you, and I believe it. I believe that the Nemesis James Taylor would certainly do that, because I've gotten to know him. I've gotten to know him off the air. And this isn't me as Joshua Allen or Painmaker, and people have given me heck for doing it, but I love what I do. But James, good luck in New South. And I think that's what we're saying. We're not going on here to bury anybody. I don't want to make this into that, but there's obviously people have differences of opinions. Listen, and that's fine. Listen, it happens. It's life. Everybody doesn't get along. Everybody has different philosophies, different way of doing things. And I think that that's what makes TBW great. but I also think that's what makes James Taylor who he is. I want to say hello to Frankie the Villain. Good evening, gentlemen. Let's be real. They have their niche audience and it works for them. Doesn't mean that they're better than the rest of us, but respect goes to them for building their audience. Absolutely. Listen, and I want to give a plug, by the way, to the latest ROEW show. If you have not got a chance to see this 6-man rumble, go check it out. ROEW Backyard Wrestling. These guys put on a phenomenal show, and I'm really excited about JX and the wild card Jason Storm at Meltdown for the title there of ROEW that Mr. Storm is holding. That is going to be a great match, and I really want people to go support companies like ROEW because they're doing it the right way. I think the original way, regardless of what you may think of CJ Black on or off the screen, I think ROEW is doing a great job, and I really enjoyed the last show. Logan is a cheap cosplay of Roman Reigns. Well, there's a lot of companies out there that say that. I want to say hello, by the way, another company that, by the way, it's in your home state. Your home state. I know you're moving on to New South Pro Wrestling, but from your home state, the legendary, another legend, by the way, Hillbilly Tilly. He's the general manager of the Alliance Wrestling, another one of my favorite new companies. Respect to my fellow Alabamian, James Taylor, big New South fan. Hope to see you succeed with the best in the South. And Frankie the Villain would like to say I'm back. What did I miss? Well, what you missed is the news right now that was recapped at the top of the show. Our guest right here, the legendary James Taylor, is no longer a part of TBW. He has agreed to mutually part ways with TBW, but on the bright side, he is focusing on our friends over at New South Pro Wrestling, where he is going to be one of the biggest members of their already emerging roster, and he's also going to be focusing on the Nemesis session. Stay tuned for more details on guests, times, days that it'll be on. Also focusing on his TikTok, his YouTube videos, that sidewalk slam everybody's talking about. So that is the news here. Also, I got a good one here from the Painmaker. James Taylor versus Sean Christopher New South. Take my money. See, I told you. Listen, we're all ending on a good note here because we love what everybody's doing. And I love TBW and I love the Nemesis James Taylor. I mean, so let's talk New South then. I mean, New South, you obviously got to be excited. You're starting training coming up through with me. You said maybe right after Labor Day, something like that, I would imagine. So, I mean, talk the mindset. Talk about the goals, going into training. How you feeling?
Well, I obviously I'm going to bring my following. I want to thank everybody who commented. Thank you, Moon Bunny. You're great. Love you. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, that was a Joker quote from The Dark Knight, but it's actual facts. That's what makes it so great. You know, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And I've put my money, and Painmaker, thank you. I appreciate you. And there's a lot of guys in TBW that have reached out to me since this because it was between me and the owners that had this disagreement, and that's why we mutually are taken apart. But as far as like a few guys that support me still, no matter what my decision is, Painmaker I know is one of them. So thank you very much, guy. Appreciate you, respect you. And there's a few others, the Prophet and Joe Anderson and whatnot.
Yes, the Grim Reaper. Love the Grim Reaper.
As far as New South, I'm gonna go in there with a positive head. I know day one, I'm not gonna be booked right away. I know I'm not to prove myself to get booked. I've heard different things, though. I've heard people go in there, they go in there one day, train, and they're either kicked out because they stink at it, or two, they're like, hey, man, you're really that good. You want me to go ahead and book you on the next show? There you go. But then some guys, it's like, hey, you know what? You got potential. Let's see what you can do. And that takes them a month. Might take them 2 months. Might take them 3 months. It really depends. Not saying out of character. I'm not saying I'm the best. But I do know that I think if I bring my knowledge to the table, which I know I can, and one thing I love to do, I think you know it, everybody in the world knows it, I love to talk, and I know how to talk. So I know how to talk business. I know how to run a business. I know how to work in a business. It's just a matter of bringing my skill set, my knowledge, my experience with me to New South Pro Wrestling. I'm going to walk in the doors humble. I'm going to shake everybody's hand. I'm going to get to know everybody. I'm going to put in the work. And then before you know it, you'll see me on one of their shows, one of their first shows, and I'll have my debut match. And I'll be the match that everybody talks about because just like I did in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, just like I did in Teenage Wrestling Federation in Texas.
I
And
thought you
then
were about to say
Texas
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Wrestling
Turtles for a
Federation.
second. I am like, James Taylor, were you in that also?
No, I wasn't in that, but it was TWF was Teen Wrestling Federation.
All right, that
And
makes
then
sense.
it was Texas Wrestling Federation. But like I did in any company I've ever been a part of, my goal when I get there is, number one, to make a name for myself, and two, to steal the show. I don't care what match I'm in. If I'm in the opening match, if I'm the third match, the second match, the main event, my match will be the match that everybody talks about. That's what my goal is when I go.
But I think you got the right mindset, and I'll come to more comments in a second. But take it from me, because again, I've interviewed hundreds of wrestlers. Right, I'm not trying to brag. I mean, you can go look them up on YouTube.
That's
Facebook.
good. That's credibility.
Right. So when I tell you this, I believe that I am kind of credible on this. You may go into training and you may not get booked right away.
Right.
I've had guys on here that were like, yeah, I'm going to do training. And there was a company we did some work with in the UK for a while. And, most of their guys were like going to training month after month after month. And it took them like legitimately, where if you watch their work and to say they're a pro wrestler, probably took them up to a year. I mean, there were guys in certain cases I watched, and I think CJ Black has got more talent in what he does and some of his guys in his company than what I've seen. So the facts of the matter is that you could go to training in 2 weeks from now and be in New South and not go on the roster until 3-4 months now. One of my friends is a guy, Chris Urban, who wrestles and was trained by the Amazing Red. Obviously, everybody knows the Amazing Red, right? If you're a TNA fan. And he's with the company called House of Glory. Now, he's injured right now. But do you know how long it took him in order for him to have his first real match when he started actual training? 5 years. 5 years. And that's where he felt, okay, you know what? I go in the ring and I watched his first match. I watched his first 2 matches where he was legitimately, when I watched his work for a guy his size and his ability, where he was a pro wrestler. So the facts are, is I know you got a lot of experience. I know you're a legend. We love you on Sportswire, but you're going into training whenever it is after Labor Day, and you may not get booked right away. I'm just telling you, that's how it goes.
I'm already prepared for it, but that's the magic of it. Because if I need work, which I'm learning something every day, no matter what it is, whether it's wrestling or whether it's something at a real job, whether it's something on TV, whatever it is. I mean, you learn something every day. If you ain't learning something, you ain't doing shit. But I know that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to soak everything up like a sponge. I'm just going to take it all in and learn from the best in the South. I'm going to learn the best in the indie world. And go from there and just be humble and have a good time and have fun. See, when it came to backyard wrestling, that's all backyard wrestling was supposed to do. You don't get paid for it. I get that. You're supposed to want to do it because it's fun. These guys do it because it's fun and they love wrestling. I get that. But when you're asked to do a certain thing and deep down that it's not going to work and you don't like it, it's not fun. Don't do something if you don't want to do it. Especially if you ain't getting paid for it. If I was getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars and I was in WWE and they said, man, we want you to feud with Roman Reigns, but we want him to beat the shit out of you, but hey, you are getting paid for it, do it. I don't care.
Right, and I would even say,
I'm gonna make them look as good as I can because I love to sell.
But I would even tell you, okay, so you're gonna go into New South, and you know this already. We spoke off the air, and we have guys on here. Listen, you're gonna go to New South, and let's say training works out. Maybe even you get in the ring next month. I don't know. That's up to New South. That's up to you. But even when you go into New South, you're not going to make a living really off this. I mean, listen, Vito Fratelli, now he's a guy that's a pro wrestler that he's the one guy I've interviewed that I can, maybe RPD, and then it would be Vito Fratelli. Those guys make a living as pro wrestlers, but they're very unique cases. First of all, because RPD was a world champion boxer first. So his fees to get paid in the indies is probably going to be enough that if he does it twice a week, he's going to make a living. Plus he owns a gym. And then you've got Vito Fratelli, who's wrestled 200 times in the last 2 years. I brought up Alexander Hammerstone, Lindsay Dorado, TJP, Psychosis, who he just wrestled last weekend. And he's wrestled in Mexico, and he's won titles there. That's a very unique circumstance. But the reality is, unlike some other guests who came on and said, yeah, I'm in the indies, I'm the indie guy. The truth is, you're going to be in the indies and you're going to be the pro wrestler. You're still not going to make a lot of money, really. So you still got to go about it, I think, the way you're going about it. You got to go into it basically with, the right attitude, willing to work, say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am, thank you very much, and just go out there and, do what they want almost, but do it in a way that, you're showing that you also can speak up for yourself. You have to speak up for yourself, but also go into it knowing that, yes, you've certainly moved up the ladder. Congratulations, but you still are going to be starting somewhere and you have to move up.
Yeah, definitely. But here's the thing. For the past 2 years, I've been going up to Tennessee and spending money just to go get in the ring and have fun.
I understand. Now that I understand. That I totally understand.
Me going to New South is going to strictly be for my passion for the business. Money is a thing, but at the same time, it's not, because one thing about New South is they're local where I'm at. They're local.
Hillbilly Tilly was telling me off the air. He's told me about them in the past.
Yeah, like literally one of their main shows they do in Florence, Alabama, which is literally 10 minutes from here. It's right across the bridge, and I live where I live. So there it is, And that's what makes it great.
That's got to be exciting, though, for a second, right? Being actually somewhere, you're home, you can kind of have your normal routine. You can stay in your own bed. You don't have to worry about gas. You don't have to worry about a hotel. You don't have to worry about being away from your family. I mean, that's kind of a nice feeling, no?
Yeah, definitely. And I can even have family members that are nearby come watch me.
Well, what does that mean? Well, what does that mean to you? We've never spoke about that here on the show. I've never heard you talk about that on the Nemesis sessions. That's got to give you some extra motivation, knowing that family can actually watch you live for the first time.
Yeah. The only person that's really ever got to watch me live was really the only person that mattered to me the most, and that's my wife. That's
I would hope.
Yeah, and that was the whole reason why I went back in the first place and came out of retirement, because of a certain individual. And when she finally got to see me, she loves watching me. And now the rest of her family's like, they'll watch it on the YouTube and they'll watch it. And they're all like, yeah, we'd like to see you live one day, but we don't want to go all the way to Tennessee to do it. Well, the man upstairs has an opportunity for me, and I'm taking it.
And you're gonna definitely take it. I have a ton of comments. Let me get to them.
Oh, well, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to make sure we worked in some different things here. Not to mention, but not to bash TBW, I'll do it anyway. But they had an episode the other day where fans were asking where you were. TBW did not mention you leaving. Yes, that's correct. We did not hear that at all on TBW TV. That was kind of one of those, like,
fans were asking about me. What show was that? Because I mean, maybe it was the last show that was on their cross promotion, because I didn't even watch it because I was a little bit hot about it.
I can understand. Hillbilly Tilly would like to say, love Dump and Cabana Man Dan, great guys to work with. Is there anybody in New South, before I get to more comments, is there anybody in New South that you'd like to maybe pick a brain most out of? I know we spoke briefly a few weeks back on it, but is there anybody that you'd like to meet most?
I'm going to be kind of that Cabana Man Dan. He was a former world champion in New South. And now the current one is Kenzie Page. I want to meet.
Yes, I think we spoke about Kenzie Page before.
I want to meet both of them, but it's just a matter of who's willing to work with me and talk with me. Anybody really, anybody that'd be willing to let me talk with them and pick their brain, especially the ones that are cross promoted into NWA, like Kenzie Page, Commander Van Dam. I think he's going to, or he is. I'm not sure 100%. That Love Dump for sure. I mean, just a little bit of anybody. I don't know everybody's name right off the bat. I watch the shows, but I haven't learned everybody's name.
Well, I'll tell you where you can
Still doing
learn
my
some of them.
homework. I've been doing my homework on New
Well,
South.
I can tell you where you can learn some of them because they're on Instagram at @NewSouth_PW. They're also on Facebook as well, where you can catch them, New South Pro Wrestling, and that's where you can find out some of the roster, like Hillbilly Tilly knows. So those are some great places. I want to say hello to somebody that was with you yesterday, Mr. TBK, who's got a Bray Wyatt tribute show. I'm going to listen to that on Spotify. I know some of the IMF guys were on that, so I'll definitely check that out later on my work. He says, evening, gents. Good to see you both. You too as well. Somebody else that was also on your show yesterday with the Bray Wyatt tribute, Mr. Peter Richards. James was wrestling in Texas back in the day, but wouldn't come up to north to Oklahoma to fight me. What a wuss, LOL. TBK would like to say Richards versus Taylor Summer Bash 2024, LOL. That's got the IMF's interest. He says, get Summer Bash to have 81,000 fans to show up, and I'll do it. Well, was it 81,035, I think was the announce counted all in. So 81,035. And CJ Black has another good comment. Whoa, you're not getting paid? You got to try selling my flight, hotel, limo, and food plan to these feds. Yeah, that's kind of the running joke here. Got to have my MJF moment. Yeah, that was an interesting way to end the show. Knock the one off that number and two of them zeros, then do it, Pete. And laughing my ass off. 83, then I'll say, yay. Tree Fitty. If you can guarantee the Loch Ness Monster will be there, I'll wrestle it in a Speedo. That's certainly a point. I'm probably going to come back to Soldier at some point soon, who says, Mr. Taylor, how's it going? That's probably is something I will address. Yeah, in Battlefield, which was the last show, I believe there was a mention of you. Yes, he's correct, because I just watched Battlefield the other day. That was the resurrection, and
because that's the thing, and I want to make it understandable. It's not that I wanted to leave; it's more the fact that I had to for my own sanity, because you can only get disrespected so many times.
Listen,
you get
I'll answer it for you, because we don't want you to go off the rails, because we know a lot of people are watching and people would like that. It's good to move on. At the end of the day, you kind of you ran your course in TBW. Yes, you could have probably still had what would happen after what happened with the Prophet. Sure. Certainly, maybe there was some things that were in discussion, but at the end of the day, I think because you're going to New South, you got the Nemesis sessions, you got the promo fed, you kind of end it now. It's almost like in boxing where you kind of end it at the right moment. If you win it any longer, they'd have to throw in the towel and say the Nemesis, no mas, we've seen enough. I think it's time to end it at the right course. And we are here on Sportswire Radio, not ending things right now by a long shot with the legendary Nemesis James Taylor. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you're here on YouTube with us on Sportswire Radio, I hope you give us a sub on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. I thank all of the new subscribers out there. I'm also on Twitter at Thomas Price 2017, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player, where if you have a podcast out there like a TBK, or if you have anything else that you want to play and stream, we have an internet radio dial, which I program, I pay for, and we give people the opportunity to air their podcast worldwide on the web, where their friends and family can kind of get a chance to listen to them and get into a new audience. And I do that, and I give people that opportunity of all walks of life. So if you have a sports podcast, if you have a news podcast, you play music, you want to go on live and stream your own stuff, we're on sportnarium.com/player. And if you have a podcast out there, definitely get in touch. I'd be happy to play that for you free of charge. And we're back not once, but twice tomorrow. We're actually back at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I got the time wrong, James Taylor, because some people in Indiana are actually in Central Time and others are in Eastern time zone. And in fact, one of our guests is actually in Eastern time zone, not Central. And that is, of course, the legendary Justin Parsley, who just wrestled at XCW's SummerMania 18. He's at a 20-year rivalry with Fletch, who owns XCW, by the way. You might have heard of him. And he defeated Fletch at SummerMania 18. And he's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about his future at XCW. Plus, who knows else was on his mind. And that'll be at 12 o'clock Eastern time. You can follow him on Instagram at Parsley's, Facebook at Parsley's. You can follow our friends at XCW Shelbyville on Facebook at XCW Shelbyville, Instagram at XCW_Shelbyville. I'll also be back at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time with the Shadow Jay Gaz, who is the Greek Wrestling Association World Champion. He won their world title at the Ground Zero show. He's going to talk about that, plus who knows what else is on his mind. So we look forward to speaking with Jay Gaz. But right now, we are having a great time with the legendary Nemesis James Taylor, who, again, YouTube, Taft Taylor, almost 41,000 subscribers. TikTok, Instagram, Taft_Taylor. That's where you can also find out to buy your own The Nemesis James Taylor shirt, TNJT. Make sure you get that shirt and support. But let's get to some more comments, which I think one of the comments I think is an important one for me to bring up, and that involves, of course, the Soldier GP, of course, who's becoming in his own right the legendary Soldier GP, because he is everywhere now. He has become the everywhere man. He and, of course, Omen Black. So no Soldier GP versus James Taylor. So what's going on? I mean, maybe we can see that New South Pro Wrestling. What is the future then of Soldier GP and James Taylor?
I don't know. It's not that I don't want to face you, kid. I seen your other comment. You could post that if you want real quick.
Okay. I will.
Yeah.
Congratulations on Deep South. I mean, that I do, but what a coincidence you leave town when I thought about showing up.
It's not that I'm leaving town, kid. Business is business, you know? It doesn't mean I don't want to face you. It's just...
and you're not showing up to Wisconsin next weekend where Soldier might be, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no chance at the moment that I could just show up to Wisconsin. But, you know, when I get this YouTube money coming in, I can start doing more traveling. So, you know, it's just a matter of getting that grind and getting it going. But
we're almost there, though. That YouTube money is... We're almost there, but not that far away. I keep telling you.
Right. And that's the thing. YouTube pays once a month. So it's a matter of catching up first, and then from there it's free travel and do whatever. And it's going to have to probably come to that. It's not that I don't like. I tried to where I left TBW on good terms, but not really. You know, we mutually departed. But there's really no reason for me to go there. You know, if the fans are clamoring, and I have the time, and it's for a good enough reason, then I'll go back. When it came to the ultimate decision, this is what you do to protect your investment, to protect your character, just like anybody really should, who really cares about this business. It's not about winning or losing. It's about if the story makes sense, in some cases, if there's money behind it. But at the same time, with this case, it's really about if it makes sense or not. And the outcome I was given did not make sense.
See, let me say this. Let me be objective for a second. I'm going to be objective if you don't mind the Nemesis.
Yes, yeah, go for it.
Now, if you were somebody that was, let's say, an up-and-comer on the roster of TBW, and you only had a little bit of experience, right? And you didn't have the following that you had, I would say, you know what, James Taylor, you're not really in a position to kind of maybe feel the way you feel about maybe creative decisions and things like that. But because you are a household draw, because you really do have one of the biggest followings, I would say, if anybody I've covered that's backyard, YouTube, underground, or pro wrestler, I mean, you kind of, not to say that you call your own shots, but I would certainly take what you have to say, considering that following, considering the name that you have. I would certainly take your considerations far more seriously than an up-and-comer. That's just my little take. You can say what you want on that, but, you know, business is business. I'm a businessman like you. Obviously, I have the radio station. I've worked in the political world. I've worked where I've seen millions of dollars. I'm going to talk as Tom Bryce, not as Sportswire. I've been on in elections where, I saw millions of dollars being spent. So I can understand what you do with that money to make it go somewhere. And I'm a man that has made, a little bit of money in my life. I'm not going to go on the air and say all about that. But the facts are, point is, for who you are, if you were some Johnny come lately off the street, if I was TBW, you'd have no say. But because of who you are, I would say James Taylor, the Nemesis, I certainly take what you have to say very seriously.
I didn't go in there day one and say, hey, give me a title shot now. I demand it because look at me already. No, hell no. I don't do that. That's not what I do. I want to have matches with guys to help put them over and to help make them look good, to help give my...
But I think you were doing that. Listen, we saw you, with Steel. I saw you with Delta, Titan, the Prophet. I mean, you were working with guys that I like to see you wrestle. And I think Soldier is another guy that I liked, and I would have loved to have seen that in that promotion if that was something that was going to happen creatively. Now, I don't know. I don't own that company. I don't work there. But if it was going to happen there, I would have loved to have seen it. I think that would have drew a lot of money, meaning viewers, subscribers. I look at what Soldier and Omen have done. I look at what you have done. We've talked about this here for months. And honestly, to be fair, to go further, I'm sorry I cut you off again, but to be objective, Soldier and Omen have been going back and forth, I think, for 7 months now. So if I was somebody, right, if I was a writer, if I was a booker, or frankly, if I was the promoter of that company, I would have said, you know what? IMF and James Taylor have been going back and forth, whether it's on Tom Bryce's show, whether it's on the Nemesis James Taylor show, whether it's on social media, for the better part of more than half a year. We got dollar signs here. Let's expedite that and let's make it happen now.
So let me ask you, Soldier, if you're still watching, Soldier, you could come on here and let me ask you. I wouldn't care. But your personal opinion, as big of a matchup as that could be, me versus Soldier GP, that a lot of the guys, we've been through social media, we've been talking the trash to each other because we want to work with each other. Okay, out of character, we want to work with each other. Great guy. But in character, it's a matter of two big egos that want to face off to see who's the best, right? Where would you put a big marquee matchup like that on a card in TBW if you were running TBW?
If it was me, I would definitely put it probably second match from semi. It would be semi-main event type. You and him, just because of the fact the title's not on the line. It's obviously champions, one thing, but I would probably have put it based on his following, your following. Let's say IMF people in different feds that come on here that would have watched it. I probably would have put it, let's say, second match before main event. What do you say to that?
Yeah, that fair enough. They would probably book us opening match, or they'd book us second or third. Me and Prophet had a really big story.
Absolutely. I think it was one of the few original stories in that company.
But a certain Cody Rhodes, American Dragon, and Woo Man, I guess, was more booked to be semi-main event to main event compared to a big story marquee.
And that's a storyline that's been going and going and going and going, and it's going and it's still going and going and going and going.
There wasn't a really big build to that match, but there was for me and Prophet. If they weren't going to put us near the main event, then they should have just put us in the opening matchup. Because if you're not in the main event of a big show, you definitely want to be at least the opening match because you set the pace for the rest of the show.
Absolutely.
You want to do that. That's my personal opinion. Everybody can take it the way they want it with a grain of salt. It's all good. But, I guarantee they would do the same exact thing if it was me and Soldier. They're going to just put us where they want to put us.
Well, I think, listen, and I will get to comments in a second, but if it was me putting on the promoter hat, putting on the business hat, I would look at this as an attraction match. This would be, got Soldier's got this larger-than-life persona. He's the monster. You're James Taylor, this independent, kind of does the right thing, kind of speaks his mind, tough. I mean, does it the way he wants to do it, almost very mavericky. That's got, with your following, his following, that's an attraction match, which usually means you're basically right underneath the world title match. That's how I would have done it. That would have been me. I wouldn't have put it the opening match because I think your pace and his pace, to me, doesn't dictate that it should be an opener. It should be right before the world title. I could put it as a main event, but you don't have the title on the line. So I would have to say, objectively speaking, I think it should be an attraction match that's probably right before the main event. But I have a ton of comments here, and people always want to talk to the Nemesis James Taylor, so I got to get to them here. Let me get to a bunch of them one by one. TBK says, thank you very much for the shout out. I appreciate it. Peter Richard says, can you play my podcast? Is there a rating rule? PG-13 is okay. I can certainly listen to it. You can give me the podcast. I think we just followed each other on Instagram. So if you want to have a chat after or off the air, we can definitely do that. I would prefer anything not too adult-like, but tell me what the podcast has to offer, and I can kind of deviate what shows I could play off it or not, so that's fine. You know that the money match would be the Nemesis versus Leech, though.
Yeah, it probably would be. It would be.
CJ Black would like to say, I lost all respect for any champs from that other company that's entertaining from Wisconsin when I saw the aftermatch of that package pile driver on Sportswire. Well, that's an opinion, and we'll see those individuals Thursday Night Live. We'll see a bunch of them, so we'll have to tune in to see how that goes. Omen Black would like to say, Leech, no one says that, let alone thinks it. And he also put, I think I said aftermath, so that's kind of where we're at, but that's okay. Give us James versus Soldier GP at Summer Bash 2 out of 3 falls, but I think you're working for New South Pro, so I don't know how they would react to that. So
I don't know yet either. We'd have to find out.
That's going to be up to them. My fight isn't with Taylor. It's with a man he's already beaten, the Prophet. And he says, bring us in. Yeah, I will definitely bring the IMF guys on in a little while toward the end of the show. I will definitely do that. But before I come back to some of this stuff, I know you did a Bray Wyatt tribute show. And for the audience that's listening and watching that didn't get a chance to maybe hear some of that, I mean, talk about what Bray Wyatt meant to you.
Bray Wyatt was definitely an inspiration. He was a mouthpiece for WWE. He was becoming, in my eyes, probably the new heart and soul of WWE. It was just a matter of getting him back out there. I know he had illnesses and stuff like that, but every time that dude was on, he grasped my attention. I liked him. I liked his work ethic. I loved the way he performed in the ring. It was very different, and it makes big guys, have more hope. Look at how Dusty Rhodes was back in the day. Mick Foley. I mean, honestly, Bray is a big dude, but he was real broad too.
Yep.
But that guy, I mean, he was talent for days, He was that guy, and I called it too. It was so great. And I said it on the podcast too. You can go back and listen to it.
Yes.
When Vince was on Austin's little podcast on the WWE Network back then.
I remember that. Yes, I do.
Austin asked him about, what do you think of a guy like Bray Wyatt? He's really good on the mic, because that's one of the number one things that Austin said that a lot of guys say. It's about having the heart and soul for the business. But also, if you really want to get over, you got to know how to sell yourself. You got to have a mouthpiece.
Absolutely. I say it all the time on here. Listen, I got to be honest. I can tell because I have guys come on. I'll let you go back to it. But there are certain guys that I have on at the pro level, and they come on here, and they're like, they can wrestle like no tomorrow, but they come on here, and it's like they can't carry a conversation. And I would rather be the guy. I say this all the time. Whether it's with the backyard guys or the pro guys that I have or my guys in England, I always say I would rather have a guy that can sell and promote themselves more than a guy that can wrestle a broom. Give me Hogan, Hogan wasn't a great wrestler, but Hogan was one of the greatest salesmen of all time, or in Austin over a guy that just can't talk. I mean, or anything like that. I mean, listen, God bless Dean Malenko, but Dean Malenko couldn't talk. He could not really talk to the degree that Hogan or Austin could.
So in the backyard world, I'd like to ask the fans this. I want to ask you this. Your personal opinion. Don't BS me. Tell me your God honest truth. Everybody, you too, Tom. I know how to sell myself in my eyes.
I
I know how to
agree.
talk trash. I know how to get in the ring and go toe to toe with the best of them. Am I not at all, even for even for a day, championship material?
I think that's what did I say was the magic word earlier on? I'll get to comments in a second, but it's called politics. Listen, there are certain
I
things,
know it. I know it. And
you
to
know.
me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to
Sure.
just say for the backyard, I get the wrestling business, indie wrestling, pro wrestling. That's to be expected, right? This is backyard wrestling. Backyard wrestling. Here's why I'm kind of perturbed about that. Politics, right? Why is there politics in backyard wrestling when the same guys who griped at me for leaving, not going to say any names, said, we're supposed to be doing this for fun. Why can't you just do this? Well, because in my eyes, I want to do it for fun, but it's not fun for me with what you're telling me you want me to do. And you don't want me to do what I want to do. You won't let me do
Because
what I want to do
because the truth,
because the
because again,
politics.
I agree with you, but the problem is, and I don't want to say what promoter said this, and it was in England, and he's come on here, Sportswire, many times, and somebody actually had what you just said, somebody was talking about, and here was his line. He says, it doesn't matter where you go, where you are. There is politics in every form, every walk of life. It doesn't matter whether it's wrestling, backyard wrestling. It doesn't matter if you're in an office, if you're on Wall Street. It doesn't matter if you're in a school, whatever it might be. There is always some type of politics. And that's really what may or may not have prevented you from ever being a world champion or a world title contender in that company. But that would be my answer to that. Listen,
Yep. Yep.
at the end of the day, the cream always rises above the crop. But unfortunately, you know, that's really to me what it comes down to. And I think, again, if I'm a businessman, I know where I would put you on a card. But that's me, right? But everybody else, they're entitled to do differently here. Let me get to some comments here before I come back to Bray Wyatt. Yes, we say hello to Manny Cobra. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Absolutely, I want to give my thoughts and prayers to the Wyatt family, certainly to I think it's his wife now, right? JoJo is his wife. Did they get married? JoJo. Also, of course, his father, the legendary Mike Rotunda. Again, I don't know how he's not in the Hall of Fame, by the way. He was a tag team champion 5 times. He was held his own, certainly in WCW, the NWA, Japan. I don't know how he's not in the Hall of Fame, but that's a different case for a different time. CJ Black, basically, call a spade a spade. And it's politics. That's what it comes down to. CJ gets it. Listen, say what you want about CJ, but he gets it. I watch his company and just follow them. ROEW Backyard Wrestling. They're one of my favorites. They get it. They do it the right way. Skulls would like to say hello, and I have to give Skulls a shout out because he saw my friend Vito Fratelli get fired yesterday at the West Coast Wrestling Company from Adam Ginsburg. So I say hello to Skulls. Also, Omen would like to say CJ is a good guy. Yeah, he is a good guy, actually. He actually is. He knows his stuff. You got to give him that. James, maybe if you waived cigarettes, booze, and food stamps to the TBW big dogs, they would take that seriously. Well, I'm going to plead the fifth and move on from that because that's obviously a little bit above my pay grade. I cheered my butt off when Ledger won the belt, but then after that just kept getting more and more stale. Well, I mean, look, I think that's a problem in any company, right? We have a company in Wisconsin where, people feel that guy's a champion for almost the same amount of time. And, people feel the same way toward that. I mean, not everybody's going to be like XCW where they just crowned a new champion in a kind of creative twist. I mean, that's, kind of goes with that. But Omen would like to say CJ is a good friend. Yeah, he is a good friend. You know what? He may not want to admit it, but he is a good friend, and he knows what he's talking about. Hellbilly Tilly says, missed opportunity by them. This generation of BYW is fill in the blanks. Tune into promotions like the Alliance Wrestling League as they lead BYW into a new era. Now, I know, again, that you've moved on from backyard wrestling, but there's one company in Alabama that is definitely doing it right. Just want to let you know. They're called the Alliance Wrestling League. They're on Instagram at Alliance_Wrestling_League. They're on YouTube at Alliance Wrestling League. And I like what they're doing. And I just want to say I like ADT. I like everybody on the roster there. These guys get it. ADT, by the way, is a power lifter also. You want to talk about intriguing characters. He's a power lifter, and he's got an amateur wrestling background. What a champion. What a guy. But Omen would like to say, what guy are we talking about in Wisconsin? Have I heard of him? Well, what do you think, Omen? What do you think? I mean, I'm going to bring you on here in a few minutes, but maybe we could talk about that another time. But anything else that you want to say on Bray Wyatt before we may move on and bring on a few individuals that might want to talk to you for a few minutes? Anything else you want to say on Mr. Wyatt?
Great guy. And I would have loved to see him on top. I would have loved to see him come back.
Did he subscribe to your YouTube page? Because you have so many subscribers.
Hell, I don't know. He could have, and I don't know it. I get to see a lot of. I could see some, but I can't see all of them. That's 40,000 I'd have to go through.
I thought that was a funny line to you. I thought that would kind of lighten the mood up a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. I'm not trying to sound like I'm all hot and bothered. Moon Bunny said what she said because she knows. She knows how it is, and that I respect. I get it. It's just that everybody's different. But yeah, as far as Bray Wyatt though, Terry Funk, I like Terry Funk. I love Chainsaw Charlie.
What was your Terry Funk memory? I know you spoke a little bit about him yesterday, and you got to see a little bit of him as Chainsaw Charlie. I saw you speak about, and also I think you saw a little bit of him in WCW. There, he had a run briefly there.
Seen him in WCW, ECW. I saw his NWA matches. I mean, Terry Funk was an old school guy. He's what I call an old school wrestler, and those to me are the guys that are the wisest of us all when it comes to wrestling, in my eyes. Maybe it's because I'm kind of an old school guy, but I like that mentality.
I would have never guessed you were old school, by the way.
Never guessed.
Never would have guessed. But Terry Funk, you know what? I'm so glad you brought up Terry Funk, though, because I did get to watch a little bit of his work, especially, as you said, in WWF and then obviously ECW and even WCW. He had a brief feud, I remember, in 2000 with Dustin Rhodes, and he had a match, actually, which is kind of forgotten. I actually think it might be Bret Hart's last quote-unquote singles match in WCW. He wrestled on Thunder. When he was the champion there, right after the new year, he wrestled Terry Funk right after he had the concussion with Goldberg. That's might even be his last match, if I'm not mistaken. It might be around the last match he had. And Terry Funk was a guy that just kept going. He was one of those guys that just pretty much wanted to die in the ring. And that was just, I think, what I remember most about him was his spirit. I mean, he had spirit like no one else here. And let me get to some more comments here. Watch and mark my words. Now that Wyndham has unfortunately passed away, the Rotundas will finally get their due and the respect they deserve. Sad, but everyone seems to love you when you're going, yeah, I mean, I didn't get how, again, his father is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you think about it, right? He won 5 tag team championships, 2 with Barry Windham. He won 3 with Ted DiBiase. He had an important run in the NWA. He was in WCW. He was in Japan. I mean, I would have thought he would have been a Hall of Famer. I mean, he had the resume that speaks for itself. I mean, they let guys like The Godfather and Rikishi and Coco Beware. I mean, you would think that Mike Rotunda, IRS, whatever you want to call him, should be in. Omen Black would like to say, are you talking about that Craven? Damn it, Chris Craven. I didn't know you were in Wisconsin. Well, I think he knows what Craven I was sort of maybe alluding to. And he says, also, I'm not a good guy. I'm a good guy. That was a funny line here. And a best friend. Omen Black here has a best friend. So, I mean, also, I know we're working on the videos now. Talk about that sidewalk slam you put together and that Austin Roman Reigns video. I mean, boy, when I watched that, you were like, watch this video. And I'm like, all right, I watched it. First of all, I was so impressed in the graphics. I was so impressed how you put together that commentary. But then how about that finish, by the way? I think you put together that finish of that old Stone Cold Rattlesnake, found a way to get that victory over the Tribal Chief. You want to talk about those videos?
Well, I mean, if you haven't watched or haven't checked out, one thing that's cool about YouTube is you get a community tab. And after 500 followers, after 500 subscribers, you get a community tab added to your channel. So, like, if you have to go onto my YouTube right now, I went ahead and I already posted about coming to your Sportswire Radio and checking this podcast out and give Tom a subscribe.
I
But
appreciate that, James Taylor. It's very
yeah,
nice of you. You didn't have to do that.
that's what I do. But on the community tab, I had a thing on there, if I could get to it, and I asked basically my fans, because a lot of my fans like my 2K game plays. And I said, who would you like to see Austin? Like, what kind of Austin dream matches would you like? Austin Roman Reigns, Austin and Brock Lesnar, and so forth. And
yeah, I think I voted Roman. I actually voted on that. I think I voted for Roman Reigns. I think that would be a match that I would have think a lot of people would have liked to have seen.
Exactly. And that's what I did. So I went ahead and I did that, and I got the majority vote was to see Austin and Roman Reigns. I did the Brock Lesnar one. It got 316 views so far, and I mean, people like it. But I did the Roman Reigns one. It's already it's almost 700 views.
Well, I watched it twice. If it makes you feel better, I gave you an extra view.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. But a lot of people liked it. I got a lot of good feedback on it. And now everybody wants to see Austin and Goldberg, so I got people messaging me to do that match.
Boy, that was the match. And I know you said your age a bunch of times on prior podcasts in your own show, that was the match all throughout 1998 and 99 that like everybody wanted to see. Famously, if you remember, Goldberg went on the Tonight Show and basically challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin, which we knew was never going to happen at that time. But boy, if that match could have happened in 1998 or 99, that might have been one of the biggest matches we would have ever gotten to see.
Goldberg was taking his time off when WCW closed its doors. He was just sitting back.
He waited for 2 years. Yep.
Yeah, and let that money come in. If he had came in when the other WCW guys came in, we probably would have got that match.
Yeah, but you know what, though? He would have probably also lost a little bit of his luster. Because the guys that came in right away, with the exception of Booker T, they all got crushed. DDP had that stupid Stalker storyline. Buff Bagwell lasted a couple of matches at most. Mike Awesome was gone. I mean,
I think Flair was fine. Flair did all right.
But Flair didn't come in until the end of 2001. And Flair was different. If you watch, for what it's worth, you watch Dark Side of the Ring, Flair was basically called, quote unquote, Teflon. He was Flair. Flair was different. But most of the guys, with the exception of Booker T, that came in right off the bat, they didn't last.
Yeah, no.
Goldberg was smart the way he did it. He came in, he waited 2 years, and he came in, he had the okay run. It was good enough that by the time he came back years later, he had some matches. But yeah, that was a match, Austin and Goldberg. Just like Austin and Hogan. We missed Austin and Hogan. 2002, that could have happened. That was the one we missed.
You know why that match didn't happen, don't you? Or do you?
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that supposed to happen, but Hogan got hurt or something like that, or there was a house show? Because weren't Austin and Hogan supposed to tag team in Madison Square Garden? I'm pretty sure I remember that story.
So what it was, the reason we got Hogan and Rock was because Austin didn't want to work with Hogan, not because he didn't like Hogan, but because he was already beat up. He didn't think at that time, because he was getting burned out already, he just, dropped the title. He was going through his divorce right when Hogan and all them came in 2002.
Right.
And Austin was burned out. He was upset with creative, and he was hurt. And he's like, I can't give 100% to Hogan right now. And Hogan, that was his number one dream matchup when he came back to WWF at that time, was I want Austin.
Well, I think, listen, who were the two biggest draws? And I think even Austin exceeded. Vince McMahon said Austin might have had a shorter run as the top draw, but I think his 3 years on top, maybe 3.5 at most. I mean, exceeded Hogan's, 8 years in terms of just the sheer amount of money. That was a match. Yeah, I think that Hogan and Austin, to me, was the one, like, what if? I think that would have been really the match that. But I don't think Austin could have carried Hogan to that kind of match at that time. I think The Rock could have carried Hogan better to that match. I don't think Austin, in the shape he was in, I agree with you, like 2002, by that time, he was just not the same wrestler we saw 5 years earlier. No way.
I agree.
When I have some comments about that. Austin and Hogan would have been the dumbest match. Yeah, at that time, I don't think it would have worked, because for the reason I just stated, Hogan was broken down. Austin was broken down. what kind of match would you have gotten? Hogan and Rock was the right call. The Invasion storyline was arguably the worst book storyline in the history of the WWE. And hence, that's why Goldberg did the right thing in not coming in with the Invasion. Because would we have looked at Goldberg the same way? Look at Sting, right? I mean, Sting never came into WWE by the time, and the cat, your cat probably agrees. By the time that Sting came in, he was still an attraction. I mean, look, even Scott Steiner came in. Remember, Scott Steiner came in, and it was just terrible.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Didn't work. But speaking of things that haven't worked so far, and we'd hope maybe to see it one day, they're here. They want to say something to you because they kind of alluded to it. It is your friends, Soldier GP and Omen Black, and they are also pretty much pro wrestlers now, and they want to say something about what could have been maybe so far. And
you make us boxes.
Yeah, sure. 1 second. How about now?
Perfect.
How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, man.
How's the cigarette?
It's killing me. Shit. It's killing me.
You like the cancer sticks, huh?
Huh?
You like those cancer sticks, don't you?
Hell yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting story. Now, fellas, what do you want to say about this whole thing and James Taylor and mutually parting ways with TBW? And the dream match would be Soldier GP and James Taylor the past 7 months. I've said it, guys. If I was the promoter and the businessman, I would put it right up there as the top attraction match in that company, TBW. I think you would draw a lot of views. We've spoke about it here for months. How do you guys feel about the situation?
Oh, my God.
Want me to answer first? I would. There's 3 places that I would put it, or 4. Co-main event, if not main event for a title. If not that, opener, set the pace. Maybe the workhorse match. Like, because you guys been doing it for, months now? Talking back and forth, talking shit here, talking shit there. So, yeah, like, main event, co-main event, workhorse, or opener. I wouldn't put you guys, like, in between a squash match and a trash that's just trash. I wouldn't.
Yeah. And I respect that, appreciate that. It's not okay. Let's also say something else. Nothing to y'all. Just to hear me out real quick, because I know you guys aren't like this, and I respect you for it. But some people in this world say, in this business say, you sound like a child right now. You're crying and whining about this. This is supposed to be for fun. Okay. It's not fun if it's something I'm not wanting to do. If it's something you're not wanting to do, that'd be like me saying, "Hey, Soldier, I want you to go one-on-one with
Jeff Daniels.
I want you to go one-on-one with Craven Rage." Not Craven.
Oh, why did I know that was coming out of your mouth? Why did I know that?
One-on-one with him, but you can't get no offense in. He has to beat the ever-living crap out of you, and you get no rematch. What do you say? I want you to put him over.
Do you want to make him angry right now, Omen Black?
I'm just saying that's what I was told. Something similar, and I should feel. These are politics. These are what the politics.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
This backyard company said, and that is, and I quote, "You should feel honored to be in the world title picture." Bitch, what? I should feel honored. I didn't ask for it, but as an honor, I mean, I want to do it because it's what's right for business, and that's what the fans would want, not because I need you to do this, I need you to do that. Anyways, I can vent all that. You get a big marquee matchup.
I know what I would say.
You get a big marquee matchup like Soldier GP and James Taylor. I mean, and you bring them to TBW, I guarantee, dude, they would put a second or third match on the card like they did me and Prophet at Anniversary. We still stole the show, but still, it's like, oh, wow, Why were they third? Why were they not like right before the main event? Because their story was bigger.
Well, that's what I said. I said right before the main
their
event.
story was bigger than Gage Flair and Atomic Titan. Atomic Titan and Gage Flair didn't have no big build up. They had a little build up, but not really a big build up. The two main stories was the world title thing going on with Ledger and Daniel Cole and all that crap. And then there was me and Prophet, me returning to face the Prophet. And we had the big build. But they're like, y'all are third on the card. Okay, I got you.
I know what I would say to the question of if I was a booker booking, I didn't know this guy, I didn't know Craven, but I knew who they were as personalities. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, fuck you. I'm not doing that. Like,
be careful with your words. You're going down to Wisconsin in 6 days. All I'm going to say, Omen. You're going down there in 6 days.
I don't care. What are they going to do?
I understand. I was being a friend and just trying to,
no,
politely.
They can't fire me, but
no.
I would
they
say
can change the booking, though. They can always change the book.
Even if it was for him, I worked for WC. I was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. And he would say the same thing. If it was me and Craven, he would say the same thing.
Let me say this. You go into, say you go to a company and this is the thing. You know your worth, both you guys, right? You know, because you sell yourselves. Look how you come on here on the podcast. How you go and you go to ROEW. You're going to go and work with WCE.
XCW, by the way, got to give XCW a big plug. Love XCW.
Wherever you go, you know your worth in this business right now, in the backyard world especially. You know your worth, right? You're a name that sells yourself, and you know what to do in the ring and tell a story, right?
Correct.
So if you know that, then what would you guys do if you were presented an opportunity and said, you should be honored and we need you to make this guy, who clearly is stale, look like $1 billion and just, we're just done with you after that. You might be champion one day, but right now we want this. Would you take it because, I'm in the title picture? Or would you take it and say, okay? Or would you just say that to him?
I
would give a pleasant fuck you.
I should have, but instead I was just like, instead I tried to be reasonable. And when they offered me this, I offered them this as an idea. And they took this and threw it back in my face.
Well, what did I tell you at the beginning of the pod before I let Omen and Soldier speak? If you were somebody that didn't have the stature based on the social media, based on the following and the name, I would say, James Taylor, you got to eat whatever I give you. But because of who you were, I would look at it differently. Now, I'll let Omen and Soldier speak right after that. That's all. That's my point.
I agree. 100,000%. I think these guys would agree with that.
The guys like us, James Taylor, CJ Black, Captain Law, a lot of guys from
Corey Lee, I'd like to throw in Corey Lee and XCW.
We all know our worth, like you said. Yep. And these federations know what we're worth too. Like James said, you were our shoe in. You were the shoe in the door to get us into TBW, and they saw what we were worth because of you. Because they only believe in you because they know what you're worth.
I'm already going to cut you off for a second out of respect because I want you to know. Just because I'm not going to be there now doesn't mean that you guys can't go there, but you got to understand one thing. If you go there, they're only going to have you do whatever they want you to do, not what you really want to do. We'll listen, but this is really what we want. That's how these guys work. Again, I'm not telling people don't support them, don't watch them. That's fine. It is. I'm a little bitter, but hey, you know what? Tom said at the beginning of the podcast, and it makes 100% sense, and that is I need to focus really on the Indies. I need to focus on New South.
You can't dwell on this. James Taylor, listen, your new promotion, just like Omen and Soldier, right? They have an LLC now, right?
There you go.
They are going out there. They're working with Levi McDaniel. They're traveling up and down the world throughout the Midwest. If something doesn't go the way they want it, they're going to be the same way. These guys, look at what they've done in less than a year, right? If they're in your position, I would tell them the same thing. I would be like, look, guys, you guys have a lot going on. You have the LLC. You guys got Summer Bash. Focus on your strengths. Focus on what's ahead. If you're going to be in somewhere that you're not going to be so strong or so good at, then go out now while you're ahead. Cut your losses and move on.
There you go. And Soldier, don't think that you and me can never have our match, because never say never. Anything can happen. Really, honestly, anything can happen. It's just a matter of when, and we can continue to build it. It's just me and the company just couldn't agree on something, so we went our separate ways. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with anybody else. It's really the fact that me and them could not agree on it's like contractual agreement. We could not agree on a contract, so there it is.
And we're not shitting on them. We just actually right now we don't know if our invitation still stands without James Taylor. Because like I said, you were our guy that introduced them to us.
Your invitation, if I was to say, yeah, I believe your invitation is still good. Like, because me and Prophet are still tight. We still talk. I've talked to him today. You know, I've had a lot of the TBW guys that aren't politics, that don't run the company, mind you, all reach out to me and ask me if I'm doing all right. They've all asked me, because I don't know if they're worried or what, but they've all shown their sympathy, and also what they, because they value me as a human being. So I believe that y'all's invitation is still good, as long as y'all stay in contact with them. If you feel like going, by all means go. Hey, you know what?
No disrespect to the TBW, but I don't know if I'm going to be going, to be honest. I mean, that's a long drive just for a Battle Royal or a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I know.
See, that other incentive that was given to me was I could get Soldier GP, James Taylor.
Right. It'd have to be something that we'd have to try, and not you, that if they'd be willing to let me come there to have that match, I'd make an exception to do that. If they wanted it to happen and they were fine with it, I'd go and do that, do the business, we're done, But other than that, I don't know. We'll talk more. We could talk more about it.
We know they're watching, so.
Well, yeah, they probably are watching, but.
Well, I would throw it out there again. I'll do it one more time, James Taylor, because obviously these guys are going down to Wisconsin next weekend. I mean, maybe if you were ever going to go down there, maybe they'll put the match on.
I'm not trying to boost the ego of it. James Taylor, you're good. You're going to do great in New South. IMF.
It's New South?
It's New South, right?
Yeah, New South. New South Pro Wrestling.
New South Pro Wrestling.
I thought it was something else. Congratulations on that, by the way. I really did mean that. I meant that.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Appreciate it.
IMF will be the core, I guess, the core four of the Midwest. But it's going to be right there with XCW. But the foundation will be the greatest tag team in the whole backyard scene. Fuck you, ego. But anyways,
I'm gonna have to eventually get them on here. I will just say they have a show coming up in a few weeks, so I promise you, gentlemen, we'll get a chance to meet you guys.
Not worried. Anyway,
not worried. Okay, but I still want to put it out there that I know we've spoke about it. I do want to get them and you guys on here at some point soon.
Like James and all the other guys I mentioned before, even Anthony Steele, somewhat. Yeah. We're all good at selling ourselves. Everyone knows what we're worth. We all know what we're worth. And James, I don't blame you to go out on a squash. Yeah. I wouldn't do it.
I know my worth. I wouldn't expect y'all to do that. I mean, I wouldn't want, if I was booking a show and I had another guy helping me run it, and they said we want Soldier GP and Omen Black to come in, but we want them to put our guy over and them to squash him, I'd say, the fuck no. Why? Why would you do that to somebody who has an established name? You know, yeah, let's have them build a show. Like me going back when I went to face the Prophet, I wasn't gonna go in there and just have Prophet squash me. I was gonna go in there and build him up. And
so I would give you one other alternative. If you were like, for whatever reason, which is, I know this is unlikely, but if you were going to sign with a rival company and the company decided, hey, this is where I want to squash you, just because of that whole kind of, do business on the way out kind of deal, I would say then, okay, fine. But in this case, that's not the scenario. But Mr. Taylor, I have somebody else that wants to say hello to you, and his name is also Craven, by the way, and maybe it is Craven Rage. No, I'm only kidding. It's the real Chris Craven.
Hey, it's the real one.
I think it's the only time we get to speak during the week because I feel like so overwhelming.
What? Is this the guy from Wisconsin you were talking about?
No. Actually, no. It was that other guy.
Don't start cussing at me like that.
I think this is the only chance I get to really speak to you guys during the week, because at this point, like, my head's about to explode. So I figured I'd bring everybody together and reunite. So how you doing?
We missed each other.
Honestly, my head is like about to explode, but I'm finally not sick anymore. That's the good news. Now I'm just back to the regular, like, overwhelmed. But how you doing?
No, I didn't even say it. Welcome everyone to my show. There you
go. You're welcome, Omen. You're welcome, Omen.
Tom, it's because you haven't had no caffeine. That might be why you got a headache.
Today's the first day I've had caffeine, actually. I was on ginger ale for like a week straight.
Have you had any coffee, though?
I've never drank coffee in my life, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
I drink soda, though. I drink soda, so. But that's not about me. Coach, how you doing tonight? What do you think about all this talk about James Taylor going somewhere else?
Do it. Fuck them copies. No, anyway, I'm going right. He say, "Come on, it's me." I'm gonna use them. I don't know, James. You got to do what's best for you, boss. You gotta. If TBW it ain't working, do like I'm doing. I'm moving out of Maryland. I'm gonna go to a whole other state. Maybe you need to go to a whole. Maybe you need to move to Iowa and become a full member of the IMF.
Shit, I wonder how IMF would book me if I was up there.
Or maybe
you really want to ask right now? I mean, do you think there's somebody out there that would know?
Or
maybe if James Taylor came and knocked on IMF's door, would IMF invite James Taylor in and have me as an active?
Oh man, we'd have you feud with Jeff Daniels. Like right away.
With Jeff Daniels. Move to Ohio and help get DKW off the ground.
Or you can always go to Wisconsin.
I would.
Yeah, that's just another TBW situation.
Listen here. Usually when we travel, we stay the night for a couple days. A couple hours, we're leaving.
There it is.
By
the way, can I say, Omen? I like the shirt tonight. By the way, I don't know what it is.
You know what? I got a lot of these Hawaiian shirts. I found this one for in memory of Bray Wyatt.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah,
was on. James and I had some fun last night. I was on his Nemesis.
I watched the show yesterday. I watched some of you guys speak about Bray Wyatt, and I could talk a lot about that. But James Taylor has obviously tried to break the backyard wrestling internet here with TBW. He's said no mas, in the famous words of Roberto Duran.
Taylor, to be honest with you, boss, you can probably go anywhere. Like, I wouldn't do WCE. They got enough problems as it is.
Had to throw it out there.
No, hold on. Straight shot, though. It's the same element. It's the same one-sided, one view, one direction, one-sided kind of thing. So you're basically walking into the same scenario with WCE.
Yeah. I know.
They're taking their thing one direction, one way, just like TBW, and it's just not going to, if you want opportunity and fairness, you should go somewhere that has it.
And not to blow smoke up the guys' asses because they're here, but if I did have to choose, I would, and it was a backyard fed, I would go to IMF because they've got what they've got. and y'all guys are on a trend. Keep doing what you're doing. You know what? You don't really even have to put the full shows together. Y'all releasing match after match on YouTube, like one after the other. I've looked at your traffic source, and you're getting the thousands of views between certain matches. You're doing fine. Nobody's complaining, hey, why isn't this a full show? They're just like, hey,
I actually kind of like sometimes when you get just the one match, because you don't have to. Sometimes when you look at, like, when you watch a company show and you see like 3 hours and like 50 minutes, it's almost like intimidating to sit there and watch the whole thing. So sometimes, like, IMF does it, ROEW does it, AWL does it. They put on like 20, 30 minutes at a pop. You feel like, okay, I can sit there and go watch the whole thing.
Yeah, but with what you guys are doing, I mean, and again, like I said, it's not blowing smoke up your ass. It's just what you're doing is working for you. Keep doing it. You know,
I got a good idea for you. Start your own thing.
Do what?
I got an idea for you. Start your own thing.
Start your own company.
Me?
Yeah.
No, the guy behind you. Yeah, you.
I have my own company, but it's a promo wrestling federation. I could turn it into a real thing. I could just save up 10 grand and buy me a 20 by 20 wrestling ring. That's the ring I'm going to buy if I buy one. When I get me a garage.
The full of possibilities. See?
The only question is would any of these guys here want to wrestle in a 20 by 20? Or would that be too big? Because that's a WWE
and a couple more feet distance. I don't know if there's a problem with it.
It's a WWE style ring.
You gotta stretch that step out a little farther.
Well, can I just say, Ego versus Foundation would be pretty wild in that kind of ring. I think those guys could do pretty well in that ring.
The first match I would book, if I did it, would be Chris Craven and the Nemesis together as a tag team. The old school guys.
No, won't take it. You're the operator. You're not wrestling.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm an owner, right?
Yeah. Better put that Vince McMahon suit on.
Pick
up your ass.
No. Like I said, the board of directors allowed me to take the suit off for one night to deal with these guys. So you
just do like the fucking Vince McMahon.
All right, I'll just make it a handicap. The Foundation versus Chris Craven. There it is.
All right, let me get to some comments here.
I missed Foundation yet.
I missed a whole bunch of comments here. People want to say hello. Speaking of individuals, Adonis Felios from WCE, who I heard he has a show now, by the way, so maybe he'll just take over from me and he can do it. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to offer. So in case, maybe you guys were tired of me, you could have Adonis, because Adonis is doing his show on Facebook out there. He says, "Evening, Tom and Mr. Taft Taylor." CJ Blackwood says, "Tell you what, I'll cheer you up and give you what you really want. Good guy versus the Nemesis. Have your people call my people."
Are we his people?
I think your people should call my people. All right, there.
So is that a no or a yes or a maybe?
Are we his people? Because we're his best friends.
I don't know. He's just saying, have your people call my people.
I don't know. He's confusing. We'll have to figure it out because he's constantly pointing at his cheek. I don't know what he's pointing at. But
Rip to Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt, and Bob Barker. Yes, Bob Barker. Rest in peace. The age of 99. Yes, Bob Barker, who, by the way, had a run on Raw years back. Had a little mini rivalry with Chris Jericho there, if you remember, way back. That was kind of a fun feud. WC versus IMF Yards Collide. It's going to be a banger after banger after banger. And we're going to see some of the guys here, I think, Thursday night.
First of all, it's not WCE versus IMF World's Yards Collide. It's IMF's Takeover. That's what it's called. Okay. IMF Takeover, because we're going to take over.
Well, I thought you were also going to bring up that DKW is also a part of it.
Foundation.
They're part of the foundation.
Foundation.
Okay. All right. I had to at least give them a chance, give them some slack, because they always support. What we do at ROEW and the foundation can vouch. Everyone can pitch in on ideas to make sure everyone's happy with what they're doing. And I think case in point, the 6-man Rumble. I mean, it was really well done. If anybody hasn't got a chance to see it, ROEW Backyard Wrestling on YouTube to go watch what I enjoyed.
We were invited to that, and we just We wanted to be there, CJ. Oh God, really wanted to be there, but the money didn't hit our account
It didn't?
as fast
Really?
as
That
we wanted
check
it to
bounced?
be.
Did that
No,
check return bounce?
you're telling me no. Wait, you mean really the check didn't clear in time?
Oh no, the check cleared just a day late.
Was there maybe a thought of maybe they would Venmo the money to you or PayPal at the Cash App?
Cash App would have worked. Venmo.
Hey,
I think a pigeon with a little
Venmo
note with all the money in it would have got here faster.
A wire transfer, maybe? Anybody thought about that even?
I can put my Venmo down in the description below or maybe Tom will, and y'all can wire me if y'all need me.
All right, so give me your Venmo, James Taylor, and I'll do that. No shade to TBW,
sorry,
but
our money was kind of needed.
I can imagine. No shade to TBW, but Daniel Cole is a joke and not main event talent.
I don't know who that is.
The Alpha Daniel Cole. He lost to Ledger Shade at the last big TBW show. But anyways, moving on. You see, no offense, but this is where bad booking is apparent. A more obvious booking should have been Nemesis and Ledger on a tag team versus another tag team to focus on the drama first. Interesting. James, you can't be surprised at goofy or bad booking with a company who puts over and champions gimmicks thieves. Just saying, brother. Okay, that's his opinion. I'm gonna burn a bridge. I bet I can put on a match by myself versus the Invisible Man and make it more entertaining than a lot of TBW matches. Challenge accepted. That's just his opinion. James can come to Oklahoma and we can start our own fed. Fuego del Sol. So just happened to open a wrestling school down the road from me. And by the way, our friend JR is from down there. He's down there and from Oklahoma. He's a WCE guy. Well, Omen and Soldier know who I'm talking about. He's a part of a company there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's like Majestic Wrestling.
Majestic Wrestling. Yeah, there you go. I went to Oklahoma and you ran. Just kidding. Brother handed my light work. Pringles Wrestling Federation. I believe that's a reference to your company there, Mr. Taylor. Calf would run to the ring and blow out his quads. That's the Vince McMahon reference. I'm just kidding. When I point, I'm directing your eye line to where you can find the good guy in the match you're about to watch.
The good guy I watched in the last match got jumped by 6 other guys and it got thrown over the top.
But he helped his. But you know what? I gotta be objective. He got his brother eliminated though.
Yeah.
Got his brother eliminated, so at least he got back on his foot.
We would have caught him and carried him until the match was said and done.
If only that money was there a day sooner.
Right?
Yeah, just that maybe there had to have been another way. It had to have been a wire transfer, the Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I mean, I don't know. Just could have been.
I'm telling you, a carrier pigeon would have got here faster.
Maybe drone. Drones I think now can deliver the money, right? Because everybody has drones that deliver goods now. I would think, right, if a drone had came by to your guy's house with the envelope of the money, maybe that would have worked. No.
If I worked for ROEW and I was getting paid by them, I'd probably be on welfare.
Moving on. Let's move on here. Move on.
We're going to pay pretty good at ROEW.
Anyway, where exactly are you at, Taylor?
I'm in North Alabama.
North Alabama. All right.
Northwest Alabama.
Northwest
AWL
Alabama.
guys. Those AWL
He's
guys.
from Greenbow, Alabama.
Look up.
I kind of like Alabama, by the way. I happen to like Alabama.
Look up with your Power Rangers theme. Look up Florence, Alabama. That's me.
By the way, Alabama is the home of Bob Holly and Bobby Eaton.
It's also the home of Forrest Gump.
That's true.
Florence.
Where are you, James Taylor? There you go. I was kind of wondering.
Run, Taylor, run.
And Mr. Leach has actually been in James Taylor's house. Is that true?
Yeah, he's come here once.
So that's some creepy ass shit.
Yeah. I invited him
You
in.
just say creepy.
I invited him in. He's a good guy. He's a
I'm
good
ready
guy.
to say no. I didn't invite him in.
I actually been in the house.
Taylor, we need to get you to move out of Alabama, maybe a little more north towards these other companies, and then I may even be able to help you start something up when I get out there.
Now that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Let's work on something. And New South is in Florence, and they also go to Huntsville, and they're indie, but they're cool cats. And if y'all are also ever in the area, whenever I'm working there, I'll get y'all tickets. Y'all can come watch me if y'all want to.
I got a really good mind on how to create things with wrestling, so we could definitely make something interesting.
I'm just saying, New South probably can't handle the foundation.
What?
Tag team? Nah.
Well, how
What's
about
that?
Kentucky? How far are you guys all from Kentucky? Because that would be a good place, maybe.
So right above me, I'm 20 minutes from the state line of Tennessee, and then Nashville is about 2.5 hours from there, and then about an hour and a half at the most north of Nashville is Kentucky. So I'm about 5 hours roughly.
So Kentucky would be an interesting place. You're near Indiana, near Alabama, near Ohio. That would be some fertile ground, right, for the Nemesis James Taylor for all you guys.
Iowa, but he wants to.
You never know, and never say never. The
Okay,
real Craven, Chris Craven.
If he goes to Indiana or Illinois, he'd be in between Iowa and Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, did you just say James Taylor, the real Craven, the real Chris Craven? So are you saying there's only one Craven right now, really?
There's only one. Wait. Yeah.
Only one?
There's a Rage in a cage.
Nah,
It's a big show that IMF puts on.
He's a raging in somebody's anus. That's what the hell he's doing because he's a pain in the ass.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're going to see him later this week with some of these individuals. I'm sure some people will be back on the show for that. So, I mean, I guess we'll find out then, huh? I mean,
it's kind of funny. Like, I was watching some indie stuff the other day, and I actually saw an indie wrestler.
a
well-known indie wrestler wearing that same Craven Rage mask. So,
and what did you think? What was your comparison?
Except for instead of it was black and red, it was black and white. And I'm going, but the print is the same. And I'm going, gee, dude, get your own shit.
So what was the tail of the tape? Was the black and white better than the guy in the black and red, or was the black and red better than the guy in the
black and white looked better, but the guy that I got to look it up again. It's in my history, my search history, but the actual wrestler, he's established. He's been around a while, professionally. So
he's a real wrestler. We're talking about a guy that you could tell in his work that he's a pro wrestler. He's probably getting paid to be a wrestler, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was a luchador or an Asian wrestler, but he's definitely a legit wrestler. Yes.
Okay, he's like one of the guys then our regular guest Vito Fratelli wrestles. Guys who
so Craven Rage has got a copycat mask. He's going to change his whole gimmick now.
But he's the backyard nightmare, though. He's the ruler of the yard. He said on the last show, he's not only the ruler of the WCE yard, he's the ruler of the yard. And he said today, apparently, that it doesn't matter who comes into these companies. He's the one that basically everybody has to bow down. I heard him address Remington Stryker, and I heard him address Matthew Forsaken.
I'm going to give you my one solid opinion of Mr.
Wait,
Craven
he addressed Forsaken?
Darkron, I'm sorry, Darkron.
I was about to say,
Tom, you're slipping.
It was only a minute speech. I have to be honest. I listened to it and I kind of was like, "Move on, please."
I'll look at it this way. I look at it this way.
I want to say something.
The last time I was on here with Craven Rage a week ago.
Yeah, right.
He shot off at the mouth at me, questioning whether I was relevant.
Right.
And I really hope that he shows up. Let's say hypothetically he shows up at Summer Bash. If he's watching, clock's ticking to when you're going to find out how relevant I really am.
Well, do you think in 6 days from now, we're going to see him obviously in a few days this week?
Sorry.
Do you think that his relevancy is going to run out this weekend, possibly even?
It's possible.
I mean, Remington Stryker and Darkron, they're no chopped liver. They're going to definitely give him probably a run for his money that he's probably not seen yet.
I want to know how much money Omen will take to sit on.
Oh, stop.
So,
yes, sir. James.
fortunately,
$50 and a bag of Cheetos. You sit on them.
There you go.
Deal?
cigarettes, a pack of cigarettes for me.
James
Some
Taylor.
booze, cigarettes, and I'm good.
Dude, I will buy you 2 Subway footlongs, a case of beer, dessert, and throw in $20. What do you got?
Unfortunately, because my phone is literally about to crash on me.
All right, so what do you want to say for your closing thoughts, James Taylor?
You guys can finish the show for me, but yes, final thoughts, Tom. I want to say, look, I'm not telling anybody to not watch TBW that do like to watch them. By all means, continue to support them, watch them and all that. You won't see James Taylor on there for a very long time, probably never again. Who knows? The case is, I'm going to New South Pro Wrestling, and I'm going to be doing that. When I'm going to be booked on a future show, I don't know, but details will follow as I record some blogs, as I'm going to be making blogs to my training process and what I'm going through before I'm officially booked. So stay tuned to those.
And I hope we have you come back on Sportswire to talk about some of that.
Yes, definitely. You know, as long as you'll ask me to come on here, I mean, I'll come on here whenever you want. I know the Mr. Craven will, the IMF guys. I'll stay in contact with all of you, but I do the opportunity. Definitely go check me out. He's got his bag of piss right there. And
all right.
I got cookies.
There you go. Check me out on YouTube, Task-Based Taylor. Check me out on Instagram. Tom will give you all the good plugs and stuff like
Taft
that.
Taylor, Taft_Taylor, Instagram and TikTok. I know you have to run. I'll hang out with the guys for about 10 or 15 minutes if people want to talk. I have no problem with that. So
Y'all don't talk too bad about me, but it's okay if you do.
that's
Soldier,
not nice.
Soldier, don't look butthurt. Look, never say never. You know this business. You should know it like I do. Never say never. Anything can happen. Hey, that's a hell of an idea old Craven gave me. Well, maybe we could run something together because I got a mind for it. I know how to book matches, but apparently other people don't want to take my advice. So, hey, I guess I've only been doing this since 99, but I don't know shit because I ain't, I should be honored. But anyways, it is what it is.
All I can tell you,
Mr.
Taylor, is
Taylor,
that within anywhere from a year to a year and a half, I'm going to be out in Ohio.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. It may change. It may be Iowa. It may be Illinois. It may be
Wisconsin even.
I'm leaving Maryland in a year to a year and a half time frame. And when I go somewhere, if I can set up a ring somewhere in my own yard,
there you go.
We're gonna start. We can start something a lot.
Ooh, the fireworks could be coming already. James Taylor, I know you have to run. Your phone's going to die. We will definitely talk with you later this week. Always
plug it in.
I'll see you later. There you go. We'll hang out for a few minutes. I mean, by the way, you're moving away from Maryland, and I'm actually getting used to Maryland because we covered DBW so much here. And I actually have a fun question here for you three guys here. I actually have to ask this question. What is the big deal about Waffle House?
We don't have a
Waffles?
Waffle House. Yeah, all these guys go to Waffle House in Maryland. What is the big deal with Waffle House?
I guess it's like LA. You got Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. It's
right.
like
some
like,
of your
I'm sure
DBW
New York, you guys
there.
got places in New York that are like those main top places.
Fair enough. All right, so you know what? Let me get to a few comments here before we say a few more things here. Taylor versus IMF in the first ever Iowa Children of the Cornfield match. First person to incapacitate their opponent and escape the field wins. Would you guys want that match?
I mean, what are you doing? Shoving an ear corn up someone's ass or something to get away? Like, what is
sounds
this?
like Corn Boy.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I like TBK. I do. I just don't understand.
There's an indie wrestler, I think for SCW Pro. His name's Corn Boy, and that's his gimmick. Wait,
I got it. The first person to dress their opponent up like the Scarecrow. Remember the Weasel suit back in the day with Bobby Heenan? There you go.
Yeah.
That.
All right, so you know what? Since we're probably going to do this thing here on Thursday, I'm going to let Soldier and Omen, just because they're here, I'm going to give them the opportunity. Is there anything you want to say to some of your counterparts? I know Mr. Jovi had a few things to say about Soldier. He's feeling great right now. He took James Marshall's title. He feels like he's back and he's the king. And we had Darkfire in the background. I mean, we're going to see everybody again on Thursday. Do you guys want to say anything before we go into that coming up here in Yards Collide between WC, IMF, and DKW?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Okay.
Congratulations, Jovi. Yeah, you beat Mars, so you beat a dwarf. Awesome. You're good. But this Saturday, you face me. And all I have to do is put you through three doors, right? 3 doors and pin you 1, 2, 3. And then you get to wear one of these fabulous t-shirts.
Looks good. I mean, it's a good looking shirt, I would say.
I'm not worried about Jovi. See, Jovi's all gimmick. I'm going to destroy him in the ring just like we destroyed him in Crimson. Plain and simple.
It still got paid.
Yeah, we still got paid. That's how smart they are. He took an ass whooping and still paid us. Like,
it could have been worse, though. Hey, look at it like this. If he didn't pay you guys, maybe it would have been worse of an ass whooping.
We still would have got paid. We still would have took the money.
But
Just
he
like
may
the-
not have come up with the money, though, if he was getting his ass whooped further.
You know what? Before he paid us, I was literally about to hang him upside down and wait to see what anything that shook
You know
out.
what that reminds me? Oh, man, I bet you were one of these guys in school who was like with the kids in the locker room would like say, give me your lunch money and just like shake them by the locker. And then they finally give you the money, but you beat them up already anyway. You were just kind of like,
yeah,
doing it.
Did you go to school with me?
No, I did not.
he gives the roster swirlies all the time.
Wet willies, titty twisters, wedgies.
Every time he get a chance, he Peter Tap.
I believe it. I definitely believe it. I'm glad we didn't go to the same
believe in
school
each
and we're
other.
here now. But, I mean, you want to say anything, Mr. Ullman, to anybody, to our compadres, if you want to call them on Thursday's show that we'll see?
You know what? I'm assuming that my call out got lost in the mail.
I'll play James. Go ahead.
Are you doing it right now?
Yeah.
You're pretty good at it.
I know I should get an Oscar, right?
See, I think my little promo got lost in the mail because where's mine? Darkfire had one for Forsaken. Kron got one from Craven, which, by the way, I used to hate Craven without a hole in his mask. I hate Craven even more with the hole in his mask.
So you don't like it very much then?
No.
You
It
know why he
destroys-
did that, right?
It destroys the ruler of the yard look.
But you know why he did that, right?
Hell, he couldn't even. I think
Because
when
he has to be able to breathe on them.
No, he did it. He did it. It's employment reasons. His pip said you need to be able to take a dick closer to the mouth without anything getting in the way. So he just got a hole.
I was gonna say it makes it easier for him to say pineapple, but goddamn.
I hadn't
Believe
thought of
me,
that one.
he has trouble saying.
I'm
every
assuming
word.
that he knocked out his tooth when cutting the hole with a rock. So, but
Speaking,
That's painful.
I did see the guy you were talking about that has the same mask.
Yeah, right.
The real wrestler, yeah. I seen him on Facebook.
Well, that's painful. That's a painful.
Next thing you know,
thought.
you're gonna see him doing like the Jay and Silent Bob thing where he's putting the lip gloss on in the picture and shit because he's got his whole.
Oh, he's gonna ask himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Did you screw me? I'd screw
guys,
you.
I'm gonna pull ADT. This is my time to talk.
I'm sorry.
No comment. I'm pleading the fifth on that because he's coming back to Sportswire very soon again. So
Him and
no
his wooden
comment.
belt.
He had the belt. Yeah, well, did you watch the show yesterday? I mean, did you like it? Did you not like it? What'd you think?
There was a couple spots I tuned in. I had to do other things like
I imagine.
my bed sheets, but yeah, no, I had some other things to do. But I did watch it, and it was. You were entertaining, Tom. You're always entertaining, Tom. But I really can't say much for Mr. Alternate D Talent.
Can I say this? I will say this. It's not so much about ADT and Dylan Andrews because I do like those guys. But I had some spots this week, I will say, that they were actually pro wrestler spots. They were really like not entertaining. I have to be honest. I had a guy on, and I'm going to say his name, Dante Durden. And it was like the guy was like, I just wrestled a match. And I've got like 50 minutes and I've got to go wrestle another match. And it was like, well, your
That was a
promoter
hard
told
watch. I'm not gonna lie.
that was painful. And the promoter was like, get this guy on. He's going to be great. And the guy was like, it was like painful. It was like
James Rush would have done better.
No, I think Dante Durden was still better than James Marshall. James Marshall, it's like 10 minutes. It's like probably a Hogan match at this point at 70. I mean, I love James Marshall personally, but Dante Durden was still better than that. But the point was, this week, I had some clunkers. I had even the guy Kemper, Joshua Kemper, great guy, but it was like, yeah. That was pretty much the whole show. Yeah. That's how it goes.
Back to what I was saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This weekend, going to Wisconsin to face the measuring stick dwarf James Marshall. I got to take off my high class $2 shirt.
Wow.
And put on my $1 boots and wrestle James Marshall.
Yes, you do.
Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but everyone knows what's going to happen. The tables match.
Yes.
And what usually happens with a tables match with Omen Black in that match?
You usually put the other person on the table.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You haven't lost yet in those.
I predict these things, and 95% of the time, I'm telling the truth.
We wouldn't want you to lie.
Marshall, September 2nd. I'm going to be in your ring for a good, maybe 5 minutes. Put you through a table, and I'm leaving the shithole Wisconsin.
Oh, sounds like to me, Pantera 5 minutes alone, basically.
Don't forget to grab yourself some cheese on your way out. I hear Wisconsin got some good cheddar.
I'm going to take 1 minute to beat James Marshall. Take the 4 minutes to take all my wrestling gear off, put my street clothes on, maybe give Craven Rage a little swirly, titty twister, wet willy, give him a couple smacks around.
Hey, don't get that wedgie.
You need to watch that, Omen, because he may get excited and think you're coming on to him with that Gimp mask.
All right. Well, we'll certainly find out on Thursday's show.
My 4 minutes left doing that. I'm getting in the car and leaving.
Well, I hope it's at least some form of entertainment that the audience can find. You can follow the IMF on Instagram at IMF_wrestling, YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666, and these guys are closing in on 1,500 subscribers, not too far away. So follow them if you haven't already. I mean, Coach, do you want to say anything here before we say goodbye tonight? Anything else on your mind? I mean, Ego in the Foundation, you have any interest in that? Because apparently I hear through the grapevine that's something that seems like an interesting proposition.
I hear Ego's coming to Summer Bash, like all of Ego. I hear there's possibility of Mr. Judgment coming to Summer Bash. Maybe even a couple other odds and ends. I don't know. We're going to have to see.
Well, I can ask that next week because next Tuesday I have Ace Christian on, who is, of course, challenging for Mr. Judgment's DBW title on the 23rd of September. So,
these Maryland boys,
they could bring whoever they want. They could bring another wannabe Drunk the Clown. They could bring anyone from EBW, DBW. Hell, we'll take on guys from STH. You might want to think who STH is. Exactly. Gentlemen. It doesn't matter. Ego will face the same fate that anyone else has gotten facing the Foundation.
Okay. Let's do this here. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
IMF, gentlemen, as much as I have respect or, whatever for you guys with what you're doing with IMF and what you guys have already done, I'm going to give you this little helpful piece of advice.
Uh-oh.
Don't underestimate these Maryland boys. I've worked with them in the ring. I've seen them in action. I know how they work. I know what they can do. Do not approach this like they're WCE, TBW, or any other of these guys that don't know what they're doing. Do not underestimate them. At least give them that respect to know that you're walking into a match with very high competitiveness. You understand?
We hear what you're saying.
That's fine. But the same outcome's going to happen. We're going to whip their ass.
Hey, you know what? We hear what he's saying. You know what?
We get you. We get it, man. We get what you're saying. And with all due respect, we know what we can do. We don't care what they can do. We know what we can do. And when Ego steps in the ring with the Foundation, we're going to show the whole world that what we've been saying this whole entire time is the truth. What the kids say, we don't care.
All I'm trying to tell you is that, like, the tag team of Ego, Colin and his partner, they're a force to be reckoned with. They are, and they're not these Joe Blows everybody's been seeing do these other backyard shows. They are nothing like them. They are top tier.
Well, what I would agree that DBW to me is not a. First of all, they're not a backyard wrestling company at this point. DBW.
But I will tell you this, and this is because I know them personally. I've been in the ring with all three of these guys. Havoc is your biggest challenge. He is Maryland's Iron Man. I'm telling you that now. Havoc is your biggest mountain in that match to climb. I respect you guys. You and I have a camaraderie going on. I get it. I'm trying to give you advice, not criticize you or put you down. Havoc is going to be your biggest mountain to climb as far as that team goes. So be careful and don't take him lightly.
You know what?
You got us shaking. We shaking.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to certainly find out because I know
it's not to scare you. It's to advise you. It's to give you intel on who you're going against so that you can prepare more or better.
Right.
So you do come out on top.
I respect what you're saying, but you could play off the same point. They've never faced anyone like Soldier GP, Omen Black, Dirty Donnie, and Levi McDaniels, the newest member of the foundation.
Levi.
Let me ask y'all a question. What would you do if I was a part of Ego? And
Your resume up the foundation, so if you were part of Ego,
my application, I'm a little sour on this application thing.
Okay, listen. If you were part of
this
Ego,
application at?
if you were part of Ego, with all due respect, Chris, as soon as that bell rang, wouldn't matter who the fuck you were. We'd still beat that ass.
hold on, no. You gotta leave someone to drive the car to the hospital.
I guess the background checks for the resume are going to continue.
I still haven't heard the outcome of that application I submit. I know it went off the top, but
It's at the,
I'm coming to Summer Bash as a free agent.
Technically, though, don't applications
review, but it's still
We're at the final review. We just need you to send us the logo and see if it works out.
There's 5 guys, including you, that are at that final stage.
The interesting thing is, I'll give you another piece of information. If I'm on IMF's team at War Games, I know how to beat Havoc. I know how to beat Havoc very well.
Okay, now there's 3 names at the top of the list right now, and he's one of them.
Because I hear Havoc's going to the other team.
Havoc is on the other team.
Ooh.
If he shows up.
Yeah, I know how to take care of Havoc.
Don't blame him if he doesn't want to show up. It's kind of a big deal facing the foundation.
I've taken Havoc out before, more than once.
Now there's 2 people to take it out.
You and somebody else. Now
keep changing.
Keep going up.
Well, you know what?
you
We've
know
got a
it's
lot of time, and I'm going to say it here before we move on and say goodbye. Ego will be on Sportswire before the 23rd of September. I promise you that much, because I've had people ask me. I promise. I pinky swear. I pinky swear.
I got even more for you.
Because
not only do I know
Ego's going to be on, so that means the foundation's going to be on too.
Yes. I was going to say, could I invite you on at some point if they come on the show?
Hey, this is your show.
Oh, please let me.
I'm just coming on. I don't need the invitation. I invite you, Tom, to be on it.
Oh, really? So could I be invited?
You're definitely invited.
I was going to say, because Adonis Felios has his own show. If you want, you could have him take over for me if you wanted.
I'll give you another piece of information, IMF. Not only do
I was
I
just throwing it
know,
out there, Omen. If you weren't happy with me much longer, Adonis is doing the shows now, and maybe he could draw better and maybe get more guests and more
Stick to
fans
Tom.
and more entertainment.
Stick to Tom. Stick to Tom. Cap.
Fair enough. I just wanted to throw it out there. I at least wanted to be diplomatic. And
when are they coming on? When are Ego coming on?
So I'm gonna try to get them on. So the show's the 23rd. I'd like to get them on before the 23rd.
Side, Chris.
What's
There's
that?
only 2 names up on the top of the list. You and somebody.
Oh, here,
else?
if I get it down to one, let me get if I get down to one. Not only do I know Havoc's number, but I also recruited Havoc. Not only did I recruit Havoc, hold on. Not only did I recruit Havoc, but I recruited Colin Graves and trained him, or got his training started.
Okay, you will have you on that show. That sounds interesting because we're gonna definitely.
Still 2 guys.
But there's just the one guy that's just a little bit higher than the other guy.
If you pick the right side,
I'm just saying, if you all want a sure thing against the other team, especially with a part of Ego on there with Mr. Havoc.
There's a reason why we're the best in the Midwest, and we're about to prove why we're the best in the backyard. Oh, hell, in the whole wrestling scene.
By the way, I just have one more comment here, and it's from Adonis Felios. You guys are more than welcome to be invited to the Felios Effect. So just saying, if you want and you guys are retired or don't want to come on Sportswire, want Adonis to take over Roman?
In the words of Randy Jackson, Adonis, that's a no for me, dog. That's a no for me.
That was a good one, by the way. That was a good Randy Jackson impersonation of American Idol. That was a good one.
I might be busy. I'm gonna walk my fish. I might be busy folding the dishes.
All right.
I got a funeral to go to for my my pet aunt.
Okay, all right. So I just at least wanted to give the opportunity. If you wanted to go on there, maybe even wanted Adonis to take over Sportswire, maybe he'll generate more viewers, more entertainment, more interest.
I have to take my pet Spider. She's pregnant. I got to take her to Lamaze class, so I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Maybe it's more entertaining than watching the Liam Neeson movie Retribution.
Why make up excuses? Why just say no? Just say no.
I don't know.
Think of it like drugs. Just say no.
You see, you know what? I have to teach my pet fish how to swim that day, so I don't know if I can make it.
Well, you know what? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a lot tonight. We've obviously heard a preview of what's to come Thursday evening. I think we're looking at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time with some of the guys here from the foundation. Omen Black, Soldier GP will also be joined, I believe, from DKW, Mr. Forsaken, and Mr. Kron, or at least one of the two. I believe also a number of WC individuals or How Long They Can Talk will be here with us. And I'm sure we'll see the likes of Mr. Chris Craven. He'll pop in, I'm sure, at some point. And maybe James Taylor, because James Taylor already messaged me. He'll come on to Sportswire anytime. So maybe I will, just for the sake of it, actually invite him on the show. So you've obviously heard a lot here tonight. And James Taylor kicked things off with his announcement. He is no longer a part of TBW. He is focusing on New South Pro Wrestling. But we were also joined by, some would say, the real Craven or the only Craven, Chris Craven, of course, the legendary Maryland Wrestling Champion, and also our IMF Wrestling Foundation with their new IMF Wrestling LLC. You'll be seeing these guys in a number of different places. They've got that contract ready to go, that show coming up in November. But in the meantime, they're going to be in the ring this weekend in Yards Collide. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce.
Again.
Yes, sir.
It's IMF Takeover.
IMF Takeover coming
you.
up here next weekend, Labor Day weekend. The summer won't be a summer without IMF Takeover, IMF WCE, DKW, Midwest 4, whatever you want to call it at this point. We look forward to covering it on Thursday's show. And, of course, Omen Black, it's his show. So we want to thank Omen for giving us the opportunity to have another show here on Sportswire Radio. Thank you, Omen. Checks in the mail. Hope this time it actually comes to you. But thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great night. I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon, 12 o'clock Eastern
Can we
time.
say hi to Anastasia? Is she watching?
Probably not, because I think she had like a problem with her tooth or something like that. Went to Mexico and tried to get like a tooth operation or something. So yeah, I don't know, probably not. But hello to her anyway. Hello to everyone else out there, and I'll be back 12 o'clock Eastern time with Justin Parsley of XCW talking about his victory over Fletch at SummerMania 18. And don't ask me why, but 4:30 p.m. Eastern time with Jay Gaz of the Greek Wrestling Association. So thank you, everybody. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sports Wire Radio. And thank you to the last comment from Adonis Felios.